So today we're going to talk about the mystery of the unhappy torch coral. In my last video I showed you a little bit of footage of a torch coral that half of it is happy and the other half of it is just very sad. So today we're going to find out why. So this video is about coral placement, and a lot of people think I've placed my corals very badly, and you know, I have taken some risks, but that's just because corals here in China are so cheap, and you know, if a coral kills another coral, you know, I don't mind so much. Now if there's a coral that emits toxins if something stings it, then I am more careful about that coral. I have had some that, you know, if another coral does get too close to it and does bother it, you know, it will emit, you know, poison and kill the other corals. So those I am more careful with. But the corals that don't do that, you know, I've been a little bit more liberal with how I place them than others might be. Okay, back to the torch coral. Make a long story short, it's all Bing Bing's fault. Bing Bing is a strange clownfish. You know, I've never had a clownfish that couldn't tell the difference between an anemone and a coral. Because if there has been a coral that died in this tank, for example my flower pot coral, my Duncan coral, it's not because of me. It's because of Bing Bing, because he tries to host them like an anemone. And that's one of the reasons I actually got him an anemone, because clownfish don't actually need them, they just like them. But after he killed two corals pretending that they were anemones, yeah, I'm talking about you. After he killed two corals thinking they were anemones, I decided, okay, it's time to get him a real anemone. Because what he'll do is he'll go to the coral and he'll just live in it, and corals don't really like fish living in them. But what's happening with the frog spawn is a very different case. I tried to catch it on camera, but what Bing Bing actually does, he goes in, and when the tentacles on the right side extend, he goes in and he nips the little green ball at the end of the tentacle, pulls it right off, and he kind of like plays with it. He doesn't eat it, he just puts it in his mouth, spits it back out, puts it in his mouth, spits it back out, just over and over again. And so that torch coral won't open up anymore on that side because it knows that Bing Bing is just going to rip it apart whenever it does. So to fix this problem, I'm going to move the torch coral and hope that Bing Bing leaves it alone. Oh, and I meant to tell you guys, I have great news. So as you can see, my tank is kind of getting full. You know, I don't have very much more space for more corals, but I have great news. You know, I'd actually forgotten this was back there, but I have an entire empty corner. Look at that. I mean, that's room for at least 5 or 6 more corals back there. And for the time being, that's actually where the torch coral is going to go. I'm going to put it on that little ledge right there, where it's away from anybody that would, you know, want to hurt it. Where you at, Bing Bing? Talking about you. Okay, so off we go to your new home, little guy. And you know, just while I'm moving stuff, this guy here, he looks like he could use some more space. So I'm going to give him a little more roomier spot right here. So he has a little bit more room to unfurl. Alright, well thank you guys so much for tuning in for another exciting episode of How to Train Your Fish. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.